Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we'll cover one of the most important topics in SAP MM, and that is output determination. It's a bit of a complicated topic and is often asked during interviews also. So I have tried to explain it in the easiest way possible, and I would ask you to watch this video until the end so that you get a full understanding of the topic. So let's start. So first of all, let's understand what is an output. So let's say that you create a purchase order in your system. So this purchase order will contain multiple details like the purchase order number, PO date, vendor name and address, the list of items, its quantities, unit price, delivery date, the terms and conditions, and so on. So all these informations you will be entering in your SAP and you will be creating a purchase order. Now once you have created this purchase order, you need to transmit the details of this purchase order to your vendor, because until the vendor comes to know that what all details are there in your purchase order, vendor cannot supply you the material or vendor cannot execute your purchase order. So what you need to do is you need to transmit or transfer the information that is there in your purchase order to your vendor. And to transmit this information to the vendor, you require a container that will contain this information and will help you to transfer the information from your side to the vendor's side. And this container in SAP is called an output or a message. It's similar to how you send message to someone. That is, you need to transmit some information to some other person. So you will try various mode of communications and you will send that information to the other person. Similarly, in SAP, the entity which will be transmitting the information from your SAP purchasing documents to your vendor will be called an output or a message. So now let's see what will this output contain. That is, if you want to transmit the information of your purchasing document to the vendor, then in your system, what will this output contain? So the first thing that your output must contain is the content, that is the information about the purchasing document. As we saw earlier, let's say that you want to transmit a purchase order information, then you will have multiple fields like purchase order number, purchase date, list of materials, quantities, unit price, delivery date. All that information or all those fields you have to transfer to your vendor. So first thing that your output must contain is the content of that purchasing document. Then once you have collected all this content or all these fields, you need to put them in a particular format or in a particular layout. That format will totally depend upon your organizational requirements, that how you want to put this information in front of the vendor. And for that you need to design a format or a layout. So if you are a MM consultant, you will have to design these two things. That is, first you will have to find out what all fields you want to send to the vendor, and then in which format you have to send these fields to the vendor. You can use an Excel sheet or a Word file and create this format or layout and then place these fields on that layout, and then you will have to give it to your ABAPer who will design the program and the format to create this output. So you can see here the content will be created through something called a sprint program and form routine. The ABAPer will create a print program which will basically fetch data from your purchase order or from your purchasing document, and the form routine will basically be used to extract certain parts of your print program only. Let's say that you have created a print program which you want to use across various messages, then you can use something called as a form routine which will actually access specific parts of this program only and then extract the information. So basically you will be able to use this print program at various places and it will help in reusability of this print program. Then once this print program and form routine is ready, the ABAPer will create a form. This form will basically be a replica of whatever format or layout you have created, maybe in Excel or in Word format. From there, the ABAPer will create the form in SAP through any of these three methods. The ABAPer can use SAP scripts or Smart Form or Adobe Form, but whatever technique is used, ABAPer has to create a particular form and then place all the content on this form. And this whole entity will be called a processing routine. Okay, so first thing we understood is that the output must have a processing routine through which you have content on the screen or you have content in the output and you have a particular format in which that content is presented. Okay, now this content and format will depend upon the type of transmission that you are using. Let's say that a vendor asks you to send the purchase order in printed format only. Another vendor asks you to send the purchase order through email or maybe through EDI, that is electronic data interchange. So all these mediums are called transmission mediums. You can see you can send this particular output through print also, or through fax, email, or EDI. And all these transmission mediums can be used to transfer the data from your system to the vendor's end. Okay. So for all these transmissions, you may have different content and different format or layout. Let's say that you are sending purchase order in print, then the format may be different. Let's say that you are sending the same purchase order through email, then the format will be different for email also. Then there might be some differences in the content also for print format and email format. So in this way, you will have individual processing routine for all types of transmissions. That is, for print medium, you will have a different combination of format and content. For fax, you may have different format and content. For email, EDI, for every other transmission medium, you will have a separate combination of this content and format. That is, a combination of print program, form routine, and form. So you can see here, this processing routine you will maintain against each of these transmission mediums. Then once your transmission medium is determined, you need to determine the transmission time. That is, when you want to send this message. Let's say that when you create a purchase order, you want to send this message immediately once you save this PO. So in that case, what will happen? The moment you save the PO, the system will send this message to the vendor immediately. If you have configured in print format, then system will immediately print that purchase order. If you have configured through email, then system will send the email immediately once you save the PO. Then let's say that you do not want this to happen and you want to use some particular transaction code for each of the purchasing document to generate this output, then you can have this manual transmission time. That is, you will use certain transaction codes for this specific purchasing document. Like for purchase order, you have ME9F. For contracts, you have ME9K. For RFQ, you have T code ME9A and so on. So for each purchasing document, you will manually run the transaction and then you will send the output. Then the third option is you can schedule periodic batch jobs and system will send these outputs to the vendor periodically. So this transmission time is also important to be entered in your output so that system understands that when system has to send this output. Now once we have decided these things, next we need to decide is where we have to send this output. That is, we need to decide the partner roles of the vendor. Let's say that you place a purchase order on a vendor with a particular vendor code, but the vendor tells you that the PO printout is to be sent at its headquarter address. That is the address at which they collate all the purchase order and then process each of them. Then in that case, although you will enter a vendor code in your purchase order, you will have to also enter the order address vendor in the partner roles of your purchase order. And your purchase order print will be sent to this address rather than the address which is there in the vendor code which you have entered in the PO. Then let's say that you have to follow up with the vendor for supply of material. That is, you have to send reminder or expediting letters. In that case, the vendor will tell you that whenever you are going to send any reminder letters or reminder emails, you must send them to the goods supplier address. That is the address from where the goods shall be supplied. So once you finalize the output, you must find out to which partner role this output needs to be sent. So in output will tell you that for which partner role, which transmission time is to be considered, which transmission medium is to be considered, and for the particular transmission medium, what will be the processing routine for that particular output. So you can see here, all these four entities basically answer these four questions. That is, what is to be transmitted, how it is to be transmitted, when is to be transmitted, and where the message is to be transmitted. And you can see all these four informations must be there in your output so that the correct message is sent to the vendor. And to have all these informations, you must design a container which will have all these entities. So that container in SAP is called message type or output type. So this is the most important entity in this whole output determination process, that first you need to design message type in which you have to enter all these informations, and then you need to determine this message type whenever you are processing a purchasing document. Okay, so I hope that you've understood this concept, that for a particular output to be processed, you must have a processing routine, then a transmission medium which will access these processing routines, then a transmission time, and the partner roles. And these four entities will basically answer these four questions: that what is to be sent, how it is to be sent, when it is to be sent, and where this message is to be sent. And we will maintain all this in a particular entity which is called message type. Okay, now let's understand the requirement of having multiple message types in the system. Let's say that you are creating a purchase order. So this message type will basically depend upon the type of document and the type of operation. Or basically we can say that multiple message types you will need to maintain to cater to multiple scenarios or multiple requirements. As you can see here, depending upon the type of purchasing document, you will have to configure different messages, because the content and the format of each of these documents will be different from each other. If you are creating a purchase order, the content and format will be different. If you are creating a request for quotation, then the content and the format will be different. So based on your purchasing document, you will have to design multiple output types. Then you can see here, the output types will also depend upon the type of operation you are doing. Let's say that you have created a new purchase order. Then its format will be different and the content will be different. Let's say that you have changed that purchase order and then again you are sending the output to the vendor. So this time you can have a different content and format. Let's say that once you change the PO, you only want to send the details of the field that you have changed. Then you can see, if you want to ask for order acknowledgement, then the format will be different. And if you want to send reminder letters also, then in that case also you will have a different message type. So you can see here, for every document category, that is either it is a purchase order or RFQ or outline agreement or scheduling agreement, or every business scenario, like you have a new purchase order or a change purchase order, or you have an order acknowledgement or reminder letters, or these operations in terms of other documents also, for each of these scenarios you must have separate message which is to be configured in the system. And because you will have multiple output types in the system, you must have a output determination strategy, so that the correct output is determined by the system when you are processing the purchasing document. And that is why this output determination becomes very important when we deal with output types. Okay, so now let's see how system does this output determination. So as we have seen, at the center of everything is the message type. This is basically the message which will be transmitted to the vendor. So to determine this message type, you must have a logic in the system so that the appropriate message type is determined automatically when you create a purchasing document. And for this, we use the same technique which we use in the pricing condition also. So first of all, what you have to do is you have to create condition tables. What is this condition table? This is basically a combination of fields of your purchase order header. Always you have to remember that when you have to create the condition table for your output determination, you can only use the fields from your purchasing document header. Any field which appears in the line item, you cannot use to create condition tables for this output determination. So you can see here, this condition table will basically contain fields or combination of fields from your purchase document header, like your purchase order header. So you can see here, these are the standard tables which are available in the system. This table 26 is for document type. Table 29 is for purchasing organization. Table 25 is for combination of document type, purchasing organization and vendor. So let's say that for combination of vendor, purchasing organization and document type, you want a specific output type to be determined. So what you will do is you will use this condition table to maintain the condition record against this message type. So this condition table is very important because this is the table against which you will have to maintain the condition record through which this message type will get determined. So the first step is to create the condition table, and then you will arrange all these condition tables in something called as an access sequence. Now, what is an access sequence? Let's say that you maintain condition record against multiple combinations. That is, you maintain against document type also, and you maintain against document type, purchase organization, and vendor also. Then which condition record the system should select? That system will determine from something called as access sequence. Here you will enter a sequence of all these tables which system will search from top to bottom, and wherever the system will find the condition record, system will stop there and will not search further. So this access sequence will basically help the system to determine the unique condition record. So you can see here you have condition tables combining which we created an access sequence, and this access sequence you will maintain in the configuration of the message type. So whenever you will be maintaining the condition record for this message type, system will call this access sequence and will see what all tables are there, and the same tables will come up on the screen against which you will maintain the condition record. Okay, now as we discussed, for multiple scenarios you will have multiple message types. So how you can put all those message types in a container? So for that you will use something called as message determination schema. This will be basically a combination of all the possible message types for your purchasing document category. That is, for purchase order, let's say that you created 10 message types. Then you have to put all these 10 message types in something called as message determination schema. Once you put all these message types in this schema, then only system will allow you to maintain the condition record against any of that message type, and then only system will trigger that message type in your purchasing document. Now, one more thing that this message determination schema will contain is the requirement routine. Now, what is this requirement routine? Let's say that you've entered 10 message types in your message determination schema. Not all message types will be applicable for your current purchasing document. Let's say that you have created a purchase order and you want to take a printout to send it to vendor. So this operation should not trigger your message type for reminder letters because you're not sending reminders. So how system will understand that you are not doing the operation of sending reminder letters? So for that, this requirement routine will be there, which will basically tell the system to skip that message type in the message determination schema based on certain conditions. So basically, this requirement routine is a code which tells the system which message type is to be selected from this message determination schema. Okay, and finally, once you create this determination schema, you have to assign it to the document category. That is, whether this schema is for a purchase order or for a request for quotation or for a contract or for a scheduling agreement. Every purchasing document will have its own document category. You will have to create this message determination schema for each of these categories to trigger that message type for your particular purchasing document. Okay, so based on this configuration, the message types are configured and combined together in a message determination schema. Now, how this message type will get triggered in your purchasing document? That will happen when you maintain the condition record against the message type. Let's say that you have created a purchase order with a particular document type, a purchase organization, and a vendor combination. So how you can trigger the message types for that purchase order? So for that, you will have to maintain the condition record for that message type on this combination. And you can see here, these are the T codes for maintaining the condition records for each of these documents. For RFQ, you have MN01. For PO, you have MN04. And for contract, you have MN07. So for these T codes, you will enter your applicable message type. System will give you a list of all the tables which are there in the access sequence. You will maintain the condition record, and based on that condition record only, that particular message will be triggered for your purchasing document. We'll see in SAP how we do this configuration. We'll see in SAP how this message type is created and how it is arranged in this manner so that you can maintain the condition record, and then we'll maintain the condition record, and then we'll see how that particular message type is triggered in your purchasing document. But you have to understand that this output determination follows the same rule which we use in the pricing technique. Okay. Now, one more thing I'd like to add here, that this message type you can also add manually in your purchasing document. Let's say that you haven't maintained the condition record and you want to maintain this message type manually in your purchasing document. Then you can do so if that message type is there in the message determination schema, and that message determination schema must be assigned to your document category. So from the list of message type which is there in the message determination schema, you can enter any message type manually in the purchasing document also if you haven't maintained the condition record. But you can understand that for the message type, you can maintain the condition record and then determine it automatically, or you can maintain the message type manually also in the purchasing document. So now let's see what all data you will store against the message type when you will be maintaining the condition record. So you can see here you can maintain all these four data in the condition record of your message type. You can maintain the partner function, that is whether it is a vendor or good supplier or ordering address. Then you can enter the transmission time, that is whether the message is to be sent immediately or manually or through batch job. Then you can enter the transmission medium, that is whether you want to send it through print, fax, email, EDI, and so on. And for the transmission medium print, you can also enter the printer through which this message will be printed. Okay, so you can maintain all these four entities in your condition record. Now you can maintain these entries in the configuration also of the message type. So if you enter these information in the configuration, then they will get defaulted when you will be maintaining the condition record. Now let's understand what is called fine tuning of purchasing document. Now what is fine tuning? Let's say that you created a purchase order. You took a printout and sent it to the vendor. The vendor told you that there are certain discrepancies that need to be corrected in the purchase order. Now you found that there are indeed some discrepancies and you modified the purchase order accordingly. So now what will happen? You have two outputs. One is the previous output which you generated when you created the new purchase order. And now since you have changed the fields, so now you have a changed output. So SAP allows you to have different output types for both these operations. That is, if you have a new purchase order, then the output format will be different. If you have a changed purchase order, then the output format you can keep as different. Let's say that once you change the PO, you send it in a different format. You only mention the fields which you have changed. So this is called the fine tuning of the purchasing document, and system understand this fine tuning through the operation that you do. And in the system you can configure various document types based on the operations that you are doing. So you can see here, this operation number 1 is for new purchasing document. Operation 2 is for change purchasing document. Operation 3 is for urging letters or reminders. Let's say that you are generating urging letters or reminders to the vendor. Then system will automatically take this operation number 3 and will determine the correct message type. Then you have operation number 4, that is for rejection of RFQ, and 7 is for order acknowledgement. And these are the applicable documents for which these operations can be used. So the numbers that you see here are basically codes in the background in SAP. SAP understands what kind of operation you are doing, triggers that operation number in the background, and then will give you a list of outputs which are applicable for this particular activity. Okay, this configuration also we'll see in the system how we do. Now let's see how printer determination happens in case your transmission medium is selected as print. So as we have seen that if your transmission medium is print, then you must have printer information available in the system so that system can print that document. So this printer information system will search from two places. First, system will search from the condition record of that message type. And if the printer information is found in the condition record, then system will use that printer to print the document. If this condition record has not been maintained with the printer information, then system will go to the configuration of the message type. In this configuration, you have a field called print parameter where you will maintain a parameter which will tell the system that this printer determination has to happen through purchase group route. That is, the printer determination has to happen through the purchase group which is entered in your purchasing document. And once you have done this config, then you have to do another config where you have to assign the printer to your purchase group. This purchase group will basically be in the header of your purchasing document. So system will take either of these two routes. First, system will check whether the printer is in the condition record. If this is found, then system will use that printer. If this is not found, then system will take this route and then determine the printer. And if this is also not found, then system will not determine that message and will give you a message that the printer was not determined and hence the message type was not triggered. Okay, so if your transmission medium is print, always remember that printer determination has to happen. So now let's move on to SAP and see everything in action. So what we'll do is we'll see this whole configuration in SAP first. We'll create a purchase order and we'll see how this output determination process triggers the corresponding message types in the purchase order. And then we'll create our own configuration. That is, we'll create a custom condition table, access sequence, message types, message determination schema, and then we'll assign that schema to the document category and see how we can trigger our own message types in the purchasing document. So let's move on to SAP now. So to see the configuration, we'll go to SPRO, SAP reference IMG, materials management, purchasing, messages, and here you can see we have the link for output control. So this link will contain all the configurations of output determination. So let's expand this and you can see here we have condition tables, access sequences, message types, and message determination schemas. So all the configurations that we saw earlier are available here. So let's first see the condition table. So we'll expand this and you can see you can define condition table for each purchase document category. So you can see here you have condition tables available for all kind of purchasing documents. So you have RFQ, purchase order, outline agreement, and so on. So if you go to purchase order, you can see here we have messages display condition table for purchase order and messages create condition table for purchase order. So let's display the condition table. And if we take a drop down here, you can see these 4 tables are available in the standard system. So all these 4 tables are basically combination of fields from the PO header. So if we go to this particular table, that is table number 25, if we double click this and press enter, you can see these 3 fields have been selected to create this table. And this table contains purchase document type, purchase organization, and supplier. And you can see here, these are the available fields in the field catalog. So in this way, you can see you can create the condition tables for output determination. And in this particular table, we have these 3 fields, that is purchase document type, purchase organization, and supplier. Now let's go back. Now we have seen the condition table. Now let's see the access sequence. So if we expand this, let's go to define access sequence for purchase order. So you can see here 2 access sequence are available. Let's select this one. And if we double click on accesses, it will show you the list of all the condition tables which we have used in this access sequence. So you can see these 3 tables have been arranged, that is 27, 25, and 26 in this sequence. So first system will check against this particular table, then this table, and then this table. Now you can see here we have 2 more columns available here. This column is called requirement and this column is called exclusive. Now what is the meaning of this requirement column? Basically here you can enter the routine based on which this table will be accessed. That is, this will work as a requirement for this particular table to be accessed. And if this requirement is not met, then system will not access this table even if a condition record has been maintained. Okay, so this is like a if else statement which you can mention here. Then this exclusive column is that when the system starts searching from top, wherever the system finds a condition record, system has to stop there. Now if you switch off any of the checkbox, then system will not stop at that table and still will search in the next table. And if multiple condition records are found, system will populate all such records in your purchasing document. And if you select any of these accesses and double click on these fields, you can verify the fields which have been entered against this access sequence. So in this access sequence and table number combination, you have these 3 fields from the purchasing document against which you have to maintain the condition record. Okay, next we'll see the central element in this whole output determination process, and that is the message types. So let's go to this link here and let's open the message types for purchase order. Now you can see you have two options. One is maintain message types for PO and fine tuned control for purchase order. Now we already have discussed the significance of message types and fine tuned control. Let's see this in SAP. So we'll double click this maintain message types for PO. And you can see these are the message types which have been configured in the system. So you can see this is the standard output type or message type for purchase order. If you want to see the details of this message type, then you can either double click here or you can click on this icon here. So if I double click here, you can see system will open all the details of this output type or this message type. So first what you have this access sequence assigned to this output type. This access sequence will help you to maintain condition record against this output type. This access sequence contains list of tables. When you maintain the condition record for this output type, system will give a pop-up for all the tables which are there in this access sequence, and you can maintain the condition record against those tables. Then you can see there is a checkbox called access to conditions. Now this checkbox is important if you want the system to find the condition record against this output type if it has been maintained in the system. Then you have this checkbox cannot be changed. Now this checkbox basically tells the system whether this message can be changed or not while processing. Let's say that you have maintained condition records and within that condition records you have entered some details. Now if you mark this checkbox, then in the purchasing document you will not be able to change the details of that particular output type. Okay, then you have a checkbox called multiple issuing. Now this checkbox basically tells the system that whether you can generate multiple outputs for that particular message type or not. That is, let's say that you created a purchase order and you have taken the output, then whether you can again take the output or not is actually controlled by this checkbox. Okay, so you can see you have multiple issuing activated, so you can always repeat the output and again generate the message. Okay, then you can see here partner independent output. As we have seen, we maintain message types against various partners. But let's say that you want to remove this partner from this whole equation. That is, you want this message type to be independent of partner. Whenever you will maintain the condition record for this output type, system will not ask you to enter any partner. So for every partner which is there in the vendor, you will be able to access this output type. So if you select this checkbox, then system will allow you to create condition records without entering the partner. Then if you go to the default values tab, you can see we have dispatch time here. As we discussed, the processing time is very important for a message type, that whether you want to process the message immediately or you want to process with the purchasing document own transaction code, or you want to process through the batch process. You can see here dispatch time is maintained as send immediately. So when you will be saving the application, that is when you will be saving the purchase order, system will automatically generate the output. Now here you have four options. Option 1 is send with periodically scheduled job. So here you can use a batch job to process the output. Then option 2 is send with job with additional time specification. Now this is also for a batch job, but here you will have an option to enter time specifications, that is after this time only this output will get generated. Then third option is send with application own transaction. Now here you will be able to use the T codes for each of the purchasing document to generate your output. That is for purchase order you have T code ME9F. So if you select option 3 here, then you will be able to use ME9F and generate the output manually. So you will save the PO, message types will get determined also, but you will have to use the application own transaction. That is for purchase order, this transaction is ME9F. So you'll have to use that particular application's own transaction code to generate the output. So if your application is purchase order, then the transaction code for generating output is ME9F, and this option 4 is for send immediately. That is the moment you save the purchase order, the outputs will be generated. Okay, then you can see the default transmission medium will be print output. So whenever you'll create a condition record for this output type, system will automatically select this print output there. Then you have partner function. So the default partner function which will be selected will be VM, that is supplier or vendor. So you can see this tab is for default values, that is the values which will get auto populated when you try to maintain the condition record for this output type. Then if you go to the time tab, you can disallow any of this processing time options. So if you click on this checkbox, then timing 1 will not be allowed, and so on. You can disallow any of these dispatch times from this particular tab. Now if you go to the print tab, you can see this is a very important configuration which will help you to determine the printer. So as we discussed, if you do not enter the printer information in the condition record, then system will see this print parameter whether you have updated as purchasing group or not. And if you have updated this print parameter as purchasing group, then if you maintain the printer against a particular purchasing group, then system will determine printer against that particular purchasing group in your purchasing document. Okay, so this print parameter option is very important. So now we have discussed all these tabs which are important for your output type configuration. As we discussed that for any output type or message type, processing routines are the main entity which contain the program and the form. That is how the content of the output type will be determined and what will be the format of that output type. So if you double click here, you can see for all transmission mediums, you have separate print programs, form routines, and form. So you can see for transmission medium print output, you have this print program and you have a smart form here. For fax, you have a print program, you have a form routine, and you have a SAP script form here. So basically, this program will take out the fields from your purchasing document. In this case, the purchasing document is a purchase order. So this particular program will take fields from purchase order and place them in a particular format through this particular smart form. Then you have partner roles which are allowed for each of the transmission medium, and then you have these configurations for the output type. You have access sequence, control functions, and default values. Now we have seen the whole configuration of the output type. Now let's go back. And next, let's see this fine-tune control configuration. So as we discussed, for each of the operation, you can define a separate message type that we control through fine-tune control configuration. So let's double click here. And you can see all these operations are listed here. That is, if you take a drop down, operation 1 is for new purchase order, 2 is for change, 3 is for urging letters, and 7 is for order acknowledgement. And you can see for each of these operations, you have these message types configured here. So for new purchase order, you have these message types. For change, you have these 3 message types. For reminder letters, you have this message type. And for order acknowledgement, you have this message type. And based on this fine-tuned control settings only, the system will generate the output depending upon the operation that you are doing on the purchasing document. And you can see this fine-tuned control we are seeing for the purchase order. Okay, so now let's go back. So now we have seen the message types. Now we have to see the message determination schema. Basically, this will contain the combination of all the message types that we have configured. So let's open this and let's go to define message schema for purchase order. So you can see first we have maintain message determination schema for purchase order. Let's double click this. And you can see you have 2 procedures here. Let's see this procedure. So we'll select this and we'll double click on control data. So you can see here all these message types have been arranged in this particular message determination procedure. You have these steps through which system will search through all these message types, and you have this requirement against which system will see whether this particular message type is to be shown in the purchasing document or not. So for example, if you see this particular message type MAHN for dunning, that is for generating the reminder letters, and you have a requirement 103 maintained against this particular message type. So this requirement will basically tell the system that whether this particular message type is to be triggered for your purchasing document or not. If you take a drop down, you can see this 103 is for dunning. System will basically go into this routine and see whether your document satisfied this condition or not. And only when this condition is satisfied, system will show you this message type. Okay. So if you want to see the routine behind this particular requirement, then you can select it and you can click on this button. And here you will see the code behind this particular routine. Okay. So in this way, you can combine all these message types in your message determination procedure. Now let's go back. So what we have seen till now, we have seen the condition tables, access sequences, message types, and maintaining those message types in the message determination schema. Finally, what we have to do is we have to assign this message determination schema to our particular document category. And in this case, this document category is for purchase order. So you can see here we have the link for assigning schema to purchase order. And if you double click here, you can see this particular application EF is for purchase order. If you take a drop down, you can see EF is for purchase order. So here we assign our purchase document category to this particular schema. And one thing you have to remember that at one time you can only assign one message determination procedure for each document category. So for purchase order, you can have only one message determination schema assigned. So you can see here this message determination procedure has been assigned to our application EF or our purchase document category purchase order. And you can see the usage is for output. If you take a drop down, you can see B is for output, and you can see there are certain more information available in this particular configuration. So if you go to this column here, also you can maintain the time of the transmission. If you take a drop down, you will have all those four options available here also. Then if you see this particular column, this says new message determination for changes. So as we saw in the fine-tuned control configuration, that you can have separate messages for new purchase order and change purchase order. So to allow that, this checkbox must be selected. If you have this checkbox selected, then only in the fine-tune control configuration, you can enter separate messages for new PO and change PO. Okay, so this checkbox is very important. Then you can see this checkbox basically allows the partner roles which are there in your purchasing document to be used in the message determination process. So here you can see we have assigned the message determination procedure to our purchase document category or the application, which is the purchase order in this case. So similarly, you can configure the message determination procedure for other purchase document categories also, that is for RFQ, outline agreement, scheduling agreement, inbound delivery. For all these purchasing documents, you can configure the output determination in the same process. Now, once we have seen all these configuration, then we have this partner roles per message type. If we go here, if you go to the define partner roles for purchase order, here you can assign the output type to the transmission medium and the partner function. Then if you go back, you can see finally we have assigned output devices to purchasing group. So as we discussed that if the condition record does not contain the printer information, then system will see this particular configuration in the message type. Let's see that again. If we double click here, and if you go to any message type in this print tab, you can see this print parameter has been maintained as purchasing group. So if this configuration is in place, then you have to assign the printer information against the purchasing group through this configuration, assign output devices to purchasing group. If you go to this configuration, here for each purchasing group, you can assign the output device, that is you can assign the printer. So first system will search in the condition record. If the printer is not found in the condition record, then system will see that configuration of the message type. If that configuration of print parameter is available there, then system will search for the printer here. Okay, so this is how printer determination will happen. So we have seen all these configurations of output determination. Now let's create a purchase order and see how different message types get determined in our purchasing document. So first of all, we'll maintain the condition record against our message type. So to do that, we'll go to logistics, materials management, purchasing, master data, messages, purchase order, and here you can see to create the condition record, the T code is MN04. So we'll double click here and we'll enter our message type as NEU and we'll press enter. So now you can see system gives me three key combinations. Now from where these options are coming? These are basically the condition tables which we have maintained in the access sequence, and that access sequence we have maintained in the configuration of this output type. Let's first verify these configurations and then we'll come back to this screen. So we'll go to the configurations and you can see we'll go to output control, message types, and define message type for purchase order. We'll open this particular configuration. We'll go to maintain message type for PO and we'll open this particular message type. And you can see in this message type, we have entered the access sequence as 0001. Now let's open this access sequence. So we'll double click here. And here you can see this is the access sequence. We'll select this one and double click on accesses. And you can see all these three tables have been maintained here, which we are getting when we are maintaining the condition record for this message type. If we again go to this screen, you can see we are getting these three options. These three options, that is these three tables, we are getting from this particular access sequence. And this access sequence has been assigned to the configuration of our message type. Here you can see this message type is NEU, against which we have assigned this access sequence, which contains those three tables. So here when you are maintaining the condition record, you are getting these three tables. So let's select this one, that is for document type. We'll press enter. So what we are doing, we are maintaining the condition record for the message type for our purchase order document type. So let's enter document type as NB here. We'll enter the partner function as VN here. Now here we have to enter the transmission medium. So let's take a drop down and we'll double click on one, that is for print output. And here we have to enter the transmission time, that is the dispatch time. So we'll take a drop down and we'll select this option 4, that is send immediately. And we'll press enter. And then we'll select this particular record and click on communication and we'll enter the printer here. Then we'll go back. So now what we have done, we have maintained the condition record for output type NEU for our document type NB. So whenever we'll create the purchase order with document type NB, system will automatically determine this particular message type with all the information which we have entered in this condition record. So now let's create the purchase order with this document type NB and see how the message determination happens for that particular purchase order. So we'll go to T code ME21N. We'll enter the supplier code. We'll enter the company code here. We'll enter a material code, quantity, and the plant. And we'll press enter. Now you can see we have entered all the information to create the purchase order. Now to see what messages have been determined, we have to click on this button here. You can see this button is to see the messages which have been automatically determined against this purchase order. So let's click on this button here. And you can see system has automatically determined this output type NEU against this purchase order. And you can see against this output type, you have all these parameters entered. So you have medium as print output, the partner function is vendor, and the partner is this particular vendor code. And if we select this and click on the further data button here, you can see the dispatch time is sent immediately. That is, the moment we save this purchase order, this particular message type will get processed. Now let's go back. And if we select it and click on the communication method, you can see that the printer also has been determined. Now let's go back. And now let's see how this message was determined for this purchase order. So to see the message determination, we have to navigate to this go to and determination analysis. So you can see this is the message determination procedure which contains all these message types. If we go to the configuration again, let's go to that configuration. So we'll go to materials management, purchasing, messages, output control, message determination schemas, and here we have defined message schema for purchase order. Then we'll go to maintain message determination schema. And you can see this is the procedure that we assign to the purchase order document category. So if we select this procedure and double click on the control data, you can see all these message types which have been configured against this message determination procedure. And you can see here the same procedure has been determined here, you can see, and all these messages are listed here which have been maintained against this message determination procedure. Okay, so you can see here for all the messages you have these descriptions here that how system tried to find the condition record for this particular message type and how each message type was processed when they were determined in this particular purchasing document. So you can see here for this message type no condition record is maintained, so system tells you that output was not found. For these two message types the output is ignored because the requirements have not been fulfilled. Basically these two message types are for dunning. You can see this is for dunning auto confirmation, and this is for dunning, that is for reminder letters for supply of material and letters for acknowledgement. So they have particular requirements which have to be fulfilled, then only these messages will be triggered by the system. Then you have this NEU for which output has been found, that is we have maintained a condition record against this message type, and hence system has found the output. Then for these two message types, again you can see the condition record has not been maintained, so system tells you that output has not been found. And for this message type, you can see system tells you that it is a manual output. Now why system is telling that it is a manual output? For that, again we'll have to go to this configuration, and you can see for this particular message type we have marked the message type as manual only. You can see this checkbox here. Now what this checkbox will do, this checkbox will basically tell the system that this particular message type is to be entered manually only in the purchasing document. Even if you maintain a condition record against this message type, system will not determine that condition record, and system will ask you to maintain this particular condition manually only. And hence you can see for this message type, system tells you that this is a manual output, and if you want you can maintain this particular message type manually in the purchasing document. So because of all these messages, we only have this particular message for which a valid condition record has been found. And if you want to see the valid condition record, you can expand this particular message type here, and you can see these three other condition tables which we maintained in the access sequence, and the access sequence we maintained in this message type. And against this particular access, that is for this particular table, we have maintained a condition record. You can see this particular condition record has been maintained against your purchase document type. So you can see the field in the condition table is purchase document type, which system has matched to the same field in the document with value NB. That is for purchase document type NB, system has found a valid condition record, and hence system triggered this NEU message type. Now one more thing I'd like to add here. To access this determination analysis, you must be in the PO creation mode, or if you are in PO change mode, then all the message types which are there in your purchasing document must be in not process state. That is, if you are in the PO display mode, or if any of your message type has been processed against your purchase order, then you will not be able to access this determination analysis. So in this way, you can analyze the message determination, that how in your purchasing document a particular message has been determined. Okay, so now let's go back. So you can see the status of this particular output type or message type is not processed. That is, we have not processed this particular message type. And if we again select this and go to further data, you can see the dispatch time is sent immediately. So let's save this purchase order and see how system processes this message type automatically. So let's save this. So now you can see we have saved the purchase order. So now let's display this purchase order. And now if we click on messages, you can see this output type has been processed, and you can see the status has been updated to successfully processed. And why this was processed automatically? Because our dispatch time was maintained as sent immediately. If we again select this and click on further data, you can see the dispatch time has been selected as 4, that is sent immediately. That means you have to process this output when you will be saving the application. In this case, the application is purchase order. So the moment we save this purchase order, this particular message type NEU was processed by the system. And if you want to see the processing log, then you have to click here, and you can see system tells you that message was outputted under a particular spool request number. And if you want to access this spool request, then you can go to T-code SP02. And you can see this is the spool number which we created just now. Now if we click on this icon here, you can see the print preview of the message type for which you generated the output. And you can see this particular print preview is getting generated with the help of the print program, the form routine, and the form that has been assigned to the message type. In this case, the message type is NEU. So based on the processing routine which has been assigned to your message type, system will print this particular purchase order in a given format with a given details of your purchase order. So you can see we have the address of vendor here, then the purchase order number, date, then other details here, and you have list of item, quantity, unit price, and so on. So this whole format was designed with a form, and the content of this form has been entered in the print program, and this whole processing routine has been maintained in your message type. So in this way we saw how a output type is determined in your purchase order. Now let's verify the condition record which has been maintained against this message type NEU, through which this message type was triggered in the purchase order. So we'll go back and we'll go to logistics, materials management, purchasing, purchase order, master data, messages, purchase order, and to display the condition record we'll go to MN06 and we'll enter output type as NEU here and we'll press enter. So we'll select this particular table here and we'll click OK. We'll enter our purchase document type and we'll execute. So you can see this is the condition record which was maintained for message type NEU, and if we select this condition record and click on communication, you can find this printer which was maintained in this condition record which was determined against your purchasing document. Now what we'll do, we'll change the parameters in this condition record and then see how system behaves. So we'll go to this condition record, we'll go back, and to change the condition record we have T code MN05. So we'll double click here, we'll enter the output type as NEU, we'll press enter, we'll select this particular table and we'll press enter again, we'll enter the document type as NB and we'll execute. Now what we'll do is, this time we'll change the dispatch time to 3 here. If you take a drop down, you can see 3 is for send with application on transaction. Now what does this option mean? If you select 3 here, then the output type will not get processed automatically when you save the purchase order. You will have to generate the output manually through the purchase order's own transaction for processing the output. And what is that transaction? For purchase order, the transaction is ME9F. Okay, so let's select this 3 here and let's save this condition record. So now we have changed the dispatch time. Now let's again create a purchase order. So again, we'll go to ME21N. We'll enter the supplier. We'll enter the company code here and then we'll enter these informations. And we'll press enter. And now let's again click on messages. So you can see system has determined this output. Now let's save this purchase order. Now let's open this PO. And if we again click on messages, you can see this time system did not process the output immediately. That is, when we save the PO, system is waiting for you to run the transaction which is there for processing output for purchase order. If you select this particular message type and click on further data, you can see the dispatch time is 3 here, that is send with application on transaction. So this time this was not 4 and hence system did not process the message immediately when you save the purchase order. So how we can process this message this time? So to do that, we'll have to go to T code ME9F. And we'll enter the purchase document here and we'll execute. So here you can see system has selected this message type which was determined in the purchase order. So we'll select this and we'll click on output message. So now system has processed this output. And now if we again go to the purchase order, and let's display this purchase order again, and then if you go to this messages, you can see now this particular output type has been processed, and this time we process this output manually through T code ME9F. And why we had to process this manually? Because the dispatch time for this message type was 3 here, that is send with application on transaction, and this data was defaulted from the condition record which we maintained earlier. Okay, so in this way you can change this dispatch time in the condition record, and the same thing will get populated in your purchasing document. Now let's see the usage of this partner function also in this message determination. Now as you saw that we had maintained the condition record against a particular partner function, let's change that partner function and see whether system is able to determine the message or not. So we'll open MN05. We'll select this message type, we'll press enter, we'll select this particular table, and for document type NB, we'll execute. And you can see we had maintained this particular condition record. Now let's change this partner function to OA here. So OA stands for ordering address. So let's select OA here and we'll save this particular condition record. Now let's again create a purchase order and see whether message determination happens or not. So we'll go to ME21N again. Again, we'll enter these details. And if we click on messages, now this time you can see system did not determine any message. Now why this is happening? Let's again see the condition record. So we'll go to MN06. So you can see this time we have maintained the condition record with partner function ordering address. And if you go to your purchase order, if we go back, and if you come to this partners tab, you can see we do not have a partner function OA available here. So system is searching that partner function in your purchase order and matching with the condition record. Since your purchase order does not contain that partner function, so system was not able to determine any message. So let's enter a partner function here. So we'll enter OA here and we'll enter a vendor code here. And then let's click on messages. So now you can see this time system was able to determine this output, and you can see the partner function OA has been defaulted from your condition record. So in this way you maintain the condition record against a partner function, and through that partner function only system determines the message. Now earlier our partner function was VN, and that was available in this partners tab. You can see VN is for supplier or vendor, and because this was available in our purchasing document, so system was able to determine the message. We changed the condition record with partner function OA, so system was not able to determine that message type until we maintain this particular partner function in your purchase order partners tab. And as we discussed earlier, in this particular partner function you can enter a different vendor code also, and in that case this particular purchase order will be outputted against this vendor code that you enter against this ordering address partner function. Now let's see what is the meaning of repeat output and how we can generate a repeat output for any purchase order. So let's say that you have created a purchase order and a message got determined for which you have performed the processing of that particular message type. Now once you take the output and send it to the vendor, you want to generate that output again. So this process is called a repeat output, and let's see how we can do that. So we'll go to our previous purchase order. So you can see we already processed this output. Now what we want to process this output again. So how we can do that? So for that we'll have to go to change mode. We'll go to messages. We'll have to select this message and we'll have to click on repeat output here. So you can see system has again entered this output type with processing status as not processed. So you have an unprocessed output again in this particular purchasing document against which you will have all those parameters. So if we select this message type and click on further data, you can see this is the dispatch time which was copied from our previous output. So we'll go back and again we'll save this purchase order. And again we can generate this output through ME9F. So we'll copy this PO number, we'll go to ME9F and we'll again enter this PO number here, and if you execute, you can see again you will have this message type available. You can select this message type and click on output message. And if you again go to the purchase order and open this purchase order again and click on messages, you can see now both these message type have been successfully processed. So in this way you can repeat an output and then again process the output. Now this activity you can also do through T-code ME9F. Let me just show you that. So we'll go to ME9F. So you can see we have this purchase order number. Now if you execute this, you will see that system will tell you that no suitable purchasing documents have been found. So why system is giving this message? Because your processing status has been selected as 0 here, which stands for not processed. So basically system searches for all the message types which have not been processed. Now since both those message types we have already processed, so system is not giving an output. So we'll have to select this field as 1, that is for successfully processed, and then we'll execute this. So you can see system will show both these message types which we successfully processed against our purchasing document. And if we click on this message type and click on message details, will again be sent to the same screen, and we can select the message type and click on repeat output and again repeat this output. So you can go to this message details through your purchase order screen also and through T code ME9F also. Only thing you have to remember is that whenever you're processing ME9F, you have to select the processing status field accordingly so that the messages are shown by the system in the output. Okay, now let's see how change output is generated by the system when we make changes to the purchase order. We have seen in the fine-tune control configuration that if you configure the message type for operation number 2, that is for change purchase order, then system will automatically generate the output type when you make changes to your purchase order. So first of all, what we'll do is we'll change the condition record of our message type. So we'll go to MN05. And we'll change the partner function to VN here, and we'll also change the dispatch time to 4 here. So let's save this condition record, and then let's create a purchase order. So we'll enter the details here. So now if we click on messages, you can see this particular message type has been determined and the dispatch time is 4, that is processed immediately. So once we save this purchase order, this particular message type will get processed. So let's save this purchase order and let's display this. So if you go to messages, you can see this particular message type has been processed. Now let's make some changes in the purchase order. So we'll go back, we'll go to change mode, and we'll change this quantity here. Let's press enter. So we have changed this quantity from 10 to 20 here, and then let's click on messages again. So now you can see again system has determined this output type NEU here, and you can see this change flag has been marked against this message type. If you see this column, this is for change message. So this particular message has been determined because of operation 2, that is for change purchase order, and hence this particular output type has been marked as a change message. And this has happened because of our fine tuning configuration. Let's once verify that configuration again. So if you go to message types, and if you go to define message type for purchase order, you can see here you have fine tune control purchase order. If we double click here, you can see for operation 2, that is for change, you have this message type configured here. If you take a drop down, you can see operation 2 is for change. So if you change the purchase order, system will again determine this particular message type that system determined for this purchase order here. You can see this particular output type was again determined by the system as a change message. Okay, and if we see the detail for this output message, if you go to further data, again the dispatch time is 4. So when we save this purchase order, system will again process this particular output type. So let's save this purchase order. And again, if you go to messages, you can see now this output type, which was a change message, has been processed. Now, if we select it and click on processing log, you can see this particular message has been outputted under this spool number. So now let's see the display of this message. So we'll go to SP02. And you have this spool number. If we click here, you can see system automatically mentions here change to purchase order, and here you can see system tells you that PO quantity has been changed. So in this way, system has generated a different output this time with the same message type because this message type has been marked as a change message in your purchasing document. If you go here, you can see this message type has been marked as a change message. So for the same message type, system has determined a different output this time. System tells you that this is a change to purchase order, and what has changed? The PO quantity has been changed. Now whenever you will be changing a purchase order, not all fields shall be relevant to determine this change output. Let's say that you are changing a field which you do not want to transmit to the vendor. Let's say that you are entering an internal comment which is not a change for the vendor. So you would not want to generate a change message in that case. So how system will understand that when you are changing a field, a change message has to be generated? So for that we have a different configuration. If we go to this configuration for message determination, under the messages you can see we have a link for field relevant to printout of changes. In this link, you will configure the PO fields which will be relevant for determining this change output. That is, if you make changes to those fields, in that case only system will generate this change output. So if we execute this, you can see there are multiple fields provided in this table. So you have a table here and the field of that table which you can mark as relevant for printout of changes. And you can mark this relevance for all these kind of purchasing documents. So you have purchase order, RFQ, contract and scheduling agreement. So currently what we did, we changed the quantity. So that field is basically in the PO line item. That table is EKPO for PO line item, and you can see this field MENGE is for quantity of that PO line item. And this field has been marked as relevant for determining printout of changes for purchase order. You can see this column is for purchase order, and we have marked this field as relevant for triggering the printout of changes. And here you can see against each field you can enter something called as a text number. Now what is this text number? This text number will basically be responsible to print the text on your changed output, and where you can see the details for this text number. So to see the details, we'll go back, we'll go to text for messages, and here you can see define change text. We'll execute this, and if we see P4 here, you can see P4 stands for PO quantity changed. And if you see the preview of the change output, let's see that. So you can see in this change output preview, here you have PO quantity changed, and this text has come up from this configuration. Here you can see this P4 is for PO quantity changed, and if we go back and again go to this configuration fields relevant to printout of changes, we can see for PO line item quantity field, that is EKPO MENGE, we have this P4 configured here. So in this way, system picks this text and prints in your output if it is a change output. Okay, and along with this text field, we also have a field for a routine. So for certain fields, we'll have a routine which will run in the background and then will determine what text is to be printed. So for some of these fields, you can see there are routines also available, which will basically be a particular program which will first run and then will give you the output. Okay, now let's see how printer determination happens in this whole process. So as we discussed earlier, the first activity that system will do for printer determination will be that system will check whether the printer has been maintained in the condition record of your output type. So let's first verify the condition record. So we'll go to MN06, we'll enter the message type and we'll press enter. We'll select this option, and for our purchasing document NB, we'll execute. So you can see we have this condition record saved here. We'll select this condition record and we'll click on communication, and you can see an output device or a printer has been maintained in this particular field. So whenever we were creating the purchase order, the system was determining this printer automatically through this condition record. If we open any purchase order, and if we select any message and click on communication method, you can see this particular printer was determined through the condition record of this output type. Okay. Now let's remove this printer from the condition record and see what happens. So we'll go to MN05. And we'll select this condition record, we'll click on communication, and we'll remove this printer from here and we'll save this condition record. Now let's create a purchase order. So we'll go to ME21N and we'll enter all the details. And now if we click on messages, you can see no message determination happened. And why this is happening? Because I have removed the printer from my condition record. And since the printer determination did not happen, so this message determination also will not happen. So what is the next step that we have to do? If we are not maintaining the printer against the condition record, then system will search whether any printer is assigned to the purchase group. That is the purchase group which is entered in the purchase order. System will see whether any printer has been assigned to that purchase group. But this particular activity system will only do if we have certain configuration in our message type. So let's see that configuration first, and then we'll see where we can maintain the printer against the purchase group. So we'll go to our message type configuration. We'll go to maintain message type for PO, and we'll go to NEU. And if you go to this print tab, you can see this print parameter is 6 selected here, that is for purchasing group. So this configuration is very important if you want to maintain the printer against your purchase group, and if you want that printer to get determined automatically when this particular output type is automatically determined by the system in your purchase order. So first step is you should have this configuration in place, which we have here. Then what we need to do is we'll have to maintain the printer against the purchase group. So let's go back. And you can see here we have a configuration for assign output devices to purchasing groups. So if we execute this, you can see against each purchase group, you can assign an output device. Now, what is the purchase group that we have entered in our purchase order? Let's verify that. So we'll go to our purchase order. We'll go back. And you can see in the organization data, you have purchase group as 001. So we need to assign this purchase group to a printer in this configuration here. So let's enter LP01 here and we'll press enter, and let's save this configuration. Now let's again go to this purchase order, and now if we click on messages, now you can see this output has been determined by the system. And why this has happened? Because we have maintained the printer against the purchase group. We have that configuration of purchasing group as print parameter against this output type, and through this combination system determined this printer. And if you want to verify what printer was determined, then let's select this line and click on communication method, and you can see this particular printer was determined by the system through this configuration. You can see this purchase group 001 has been assigned to LP01, which got determined against this message type here. You can see here for our output type NEU, this particular printer was determined through the purchase group which was entered in our purchase order. If you go to this organization data tab, you have this purchase group entered in this purchase order. So in this way, we saw that printer determination happens first through the condition record. If the printer is not entered in the condition record, then first system will check the configuration of the message type, and their system will see whether print parameter has been maintained correctly or not. If the print parameter has been maintained as purchasing group, then system will search whether the purchase group which is there in your purchase order has been assigned to the printer in the configuration or not. And if the purchase group is assigned, then that printer will get determined in this particular purchase order. Now let's see how we can maintain the message type manually in our purchase order. So as we have discussed that if you haven't maintained the condition record against the message type, or if you have maintained the condition record but the fields are not matching to your purchase order and the message type has not been automatically determined, then you can add the message type manually also in your purchase order. So let's see that. So first of all, what we'll do, we'll delete our current condition record. So we'll go to MN05 and we'll go to this option, and for our document type NB, we'll delete this condition record, and let's save this. Now let's create the purchase order. So we'll go to ME21N, we'll enter the details, and now if we click on messages, you can see that no message has been determined, and this has happened because we do not have any condition record available in the system. So now what can I do is I can add the message type manually in this particular field here, and if you take a drop down, system will show you all the message types which are there in your message determination schema, and you can select the message type and enter it manually here. So let's select NEU here, and if we press enter, you can see all this data is defaulted. Now where from this data is coming? This data is coming from the configuration of this message type, and if you select this message type and click on further data also, you can see the dispatch time also has been defaulted from the configuration of this message type. Because we do not have valid condition record, so this time system will take the data from the configuration of the message type and will default it here. And if you haven't maintained this data in the configuration of the message type, then you'll have to enter everything manually in the purchase order. Okay, so we'll have to select this output type and we'll click on communication method, and here we'll have to enter the printer manually. So we'll select the printer and we'll go back and we'll save this purchase order. So now since our transmission time is selected as 4, that is process immediately, so when we'll save this purchase order, this output type will be processed immediately. So we'll save this PO, and now we'll display this purchase order. And if you go to messages, you can see this output type has been processed by the system. So in this way, we saw how we can add a message type manually. Always remember that when you are adding the message type manually, you can only add those message types which are there in your message determination procedure, and the data will get defaulted from the message type configuration. And if there is no data maintained in the configuration, then you will have to maintain all this data manually. That is the print medium, partner function, and the transmission time. And when you will be saving this output type, you will have to enter the printer manually. Okay, now let's do the end-to-end configuration from scratch and see how we can design our own output determination. So we'll go to the configuration again, and first thing that we have to do is we have to create the condition table. So we'll come here and we'll go to define condition table for purchase order, and we'll go to create condition table here. Let's enter a table number here and we'll press enter, and this time we'll select the field as company code. So what we are going to do is we are going to maintain condition record against the company code. So let's click on this icon here and let's click on yes. We'll click on local object, and you can see our table has been created. Now in the next step, what we have to do is we have to create the access sequence. So we'll go to this link here and we'll click on define access sequence for purchase order. We'll select this access sequence and click on copy. We'll enter this access sequence number as Z001, and we'll add a company code in this description, and we'll press enter. We'll click on copy all, and then we'll select this access and click on accesses, and here we have to add the table that we have just created. So we'll click on new entries, we'll click number 30 here, and we'll enter this table number 901 that we have just created. Now we'll press enter, and you can see this particular table has been added. We'll select this exclusive checkbox, we'll select this access and double click on fields, and you can see this particular field has been assigned here, and we'll save this access sequence. So you can see our access sequence has been saved. We'll go back, and now in the next step, what we have to do, we have to create the output type or message type. So we'll go to this message type link here and we'll click on define message type for purchase order, and we'll go to maintain message type for PO. We'll select this standard NEU message type and we'll click on copy, and we'll enter here YNEU here. Okay, and we'll mention the description as purchase order new, and here we have to enter the access sequence that we have created just now. So we'll enter that access sequence here. We'll enter Z001 here and we'll press enter. We'll click on copy all, and we'll save this output type. Now, in your real business scenario, when you will be creating the output type, you will also have to ask the mapper to create the print program, the form routine, and the form. And those things you will enter in your output type. Now, for testing purpose, I'm not changing anything in this output type. What I have done is I have only changed this access sequence here. You can see this access sequence I have changed here, and I'll keep everything same as it is there in the standard message type NEU. So we'll save this output type and we'll go back. And this time what we'll do is we'll create a new message type for change purchase order. So we'll again go here. We'll select this YNEU and we'll click on copy and we'll name this YNEC and we'll enter change here. And we'll save this particular message type also. Now what we have done, we have created two message types. One is for new purchase order and another one is for change purchase order. So we'll go back from here and we'll double click on fine tune control purchase order. We'll click on new entries, and for operation 1, that is for new, we'll enter YNEU, and for operation 2, that is for change, we'll enter YNEC and we'll press enter. So you can see we had created these two message types which we have assigned to operation new and operation change, and we'll save this configuration and we'll go back. So now we have created our message types and we have also maintained the fine-tune control settings. Now what we have to do is we have to create the message determination schema. So we'll come here and you can see this is for define message schema for purchase order. So we'll go here and we'll double click on maintain message determination schema purchase order. And what we'll do is we'll select the standard procedure and we'll click on copy. We'll give a key here and we'll give a description also. We'll press enter. We'll click on copy all. And then we'll select this procedure, double click on control data, and here we have to add our two new message types. Okay, we'll click on new entries, we'll enter the step here and we'll enter these message types that we created just now. And we'll press enter and we'll go back. So what we have done is we have kept the original message types also in this particular procedure, and we have added our two new message types also in this procedure. Let's enter the requirement also same as NEU in these two message types also. And let's save this procedure. So now we have created this new procedure. Now what we have to do is we have to assign this procedure to our purchase document category, which is purchase order in the current case. So we'll go back and we'll double click here, assign schema to purchase order. And here we'll have to change this procedure to our new custom procedure. So we'll take a drop down here and we'll select this particular procedure that we created just now. And let's save this configuration. So now that I have assigned this procedure to my application EF, which is for purchase order, whenever I'll create a purchase order, now system will determine this procedure. Okay, so now before creating the purchase order, let's maintain the condition record for our two new message types. So we'll go to MN04 and we'll enter Y and EU here and we'll press enter. So now you can see we have this table also being given by the system. Since we created the access sequence where we added this table also, and that access sequence we assigned to this output type. So now system is giving me this additional option of maintaining the condition record for this output type against my company code also. So we'll select the company code this time. We'll click OK. We'll enter our company code here. We'll enter the partner function, the transmission medium, the dispatch time here, and we'll enter the printer also. And let's save this condition record. Now let's maintain condition record for our change output type also. So we'll enter YNEC here. We'll select company code We'll enter the company code number here and we'll enter other details also. So now what we have done is we have maintained the condition record against our two new output types with the key company code. So now let's create the purchase order and see how these two output types are determined by the system. So we'll go to ME21N, we'll enter the vendor and we'll enter the company code against which we have created the condition record just now. So we'll enter that company code here. We'll enter other details and we'll press enter. And let's click on messages now. So now you can see these two output types have been determined by the system, and you can see here our new output type that we created for new purchase order has also been determined. Now why this NEU also is determined? Because we already have a condition record for this output type maintained against our document type. So through that condition record, system determined this output, and through our company code condition record, system determined our this new output type. Okay, and if you want to verify this, then we can navigate to this go to and determination analysis, and you can see for this NEU you had this particular table here which was determined through the purchasing document type NB, and you have our new message type. If we expand this, you can see we have this particular table here which is for company code. If we click here, you can see for company code M001 this particular condition record was determined and this particular message type was determined in our purchase order. So these two condition types were determined by the system through two separate condition records, one based on the document type and one based on company code. And this was determined because we created this table first, then created an access sequence, then assigned that access sequence to this new message type, and then created a new message determination procedure and entered this message type in the new message determination procedure, and finally assigned that message determination procedure to our application EF that was for purchase order. Okay, so in this way this new message type was determined by the system. Now you can see all the details against this message type will be defaulted from the condition record. If you select this and click on further data, you can see the dispatch time that we maintain in the condition record has been defaulted here. And if you select this and go to communication method, you can see this particular printer also has been defaulted from the condition record. Now let's save this purchase order. Now let's display this one. So if you go to messages, you can see both these messages have been processed by the system because the dispatch time is maintained as 4. Okay. Now let's change this purchase order and see how system determines the messages. So we'll go back and we'll change the quantity. So we'll enter quantity as 20 here. And now let's click on messages. So now you can see the change message that has been determined is YNEC. And why this has happened? Because in the fine-tune control setting, we have maintained that for change operation, the YNU is not to be called, YNEC is to be called by the system. Let's see that configuration again. So when we create a new purchase order, system determines this message type YNEU because for operation 1, that is for new purchase order, YNEU has been configured. But when we change the purchase order, system determines this YNEC message type because we have maintained this message type against operation 2, that is for change purchase order. You can see here for operation 2 we have maintained YNEC and not YNEU, and hence when we change the purchase order, this message type was not determined by the system, rather this message type was determined by the system. Always remember that when you change a PO, system will determine all the messages which have been marked against this operation number 2, and system will see that for which messages condition records have been saved in the system, and then we'll give you those messages in your purchase document. So you can see we had maintained condition record against NEU and YNEC. So these two messages were determined in our purchase order, as you can see here. For change message, we have YNEC and NEU getting determined by the system because of our fine-tuned control configuration. Okay, so now let's save this purchase order. So in this way, we saw the end-to-end configuration of this message determination. Now, finally, I want to cover one last thing. Now, we have been navigating to these configurations through the SPRO tree. As we can see here in SPRO, we have been navigating to all these configurations. That is for condition table, access sequence, message types, message determination schema, all these configurations we have been navigating through SPRO tree. Now SAP has given a central transaction code where we can access all these configurations and the condition records for all kinds of message determinations. So the T code for this activity is NACE, that is NACE. So let's go to that T code. So we'll enter NACE here. And you can see for every application you can maintain the configurations and the condition record from this central transaction only. So in our case, our application is purchase order, that is EF. So if you select this and click on output types, system will send you to the output type configuration. If we go back and click on access sequence, then system will send you to the access sequence configuration. Now let's go back. Now if we click on procedures, then system will show you all the message determination procedure which are there in the system. Okay, now let's go back. Now if you want to access the condition records, then you can click on this button here, and then system will give you all the possible message types against which you can access the condition record. So if you select this particular message type and click on condition records, system will again give you this option and you can maintain the condition record from here also. Now let's go back. Now in the same transaction, you can also explore these options here. So if you go to edit, you have these options here, that is functions or output for partner function, then condition tables, field catalog, print parameters, and all the other options. If you go to this particular menu, then you have requirements, partner functions, customizing check. All these things you can explore in this particular central T code, that is NACE. And this T code is for all the applications which use the message determination procedure in SAP. So you can see all these applications are listed here. So in this way, we have learned about this output determination procedure. This was a long video and I have tried to cover all the aspects and configurations which are related to this message determination procedure. I hope that you've understood this concept and I hope that you've liked this video. If you like my videos, then please like and subscribe to my channel. I'll be putting more videos on various topics on SAP MM module. See you in the next video with another topic on SAP MM. Thank you so much for supporting me. Thanks a lot.